What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the writer's strike and how it may affect Scream 7. Now, just want to make it very clear right off the bat that this is just my opinion, and we're just going to be talking about how I think it's going to impact things, not how it actually will, because ultimately, do any of us truly know? That's a question just in life. But no, when it comes to this, I actually don't think it's going to affect it as much as people may think it does. Again, that's, I guess, just my opinion versus other people. So, for those that don't know, I suppose, right, with this writer's strike, the easiest terms you could possibly say is until it gets solved, writers are not writing. Now, you can make things in Hollywood, and there are things that have been made without the union writers, right? So these are the 20,000 plus people, which I do believe the team that writes these Scream movies are part of that, and you don't have to use them. Okay, now that is something to throw in there. I don't think that'll happen, specifically regarding Scream 7. I think across the industry, say this went on for months and months and months and months, I think you'd start to look overseas. I think you'd start to look at like animes and also, and I think you would start to just look at people, average Joes on the street, maybe YouTubers that are super talented. I think you'd find people that, if you're trying to make money, if you're these Hollywood, types that don't want to wait for the writers, if you're trying to replace them, you would just look for non-union, not part of the WGA, and you would just do that. I think that could happen. I think, some of those examples I think could happen if it goes on long enough, but I don't think specifically for Scream 7 that would happen. So I do think Scream 7 would have to wait for the strike to be over. Now, in one way that this is absolutely affected is, to our knowledge, the script for 7 is not done. And I guess I would say that because we haven't gotten word that it is done. So, granted, the script could have been completed a month ago, 2 weeks ago. Like James Gunn was writing that Superman script. He handed it in last week, 1 week before the strike happened. So technically, for Scream 7, they could have written the script, finished it last week, 2 weeks ago, and you would be good. And we just haven't heard from it officially. But I'm going to assume they're still writing it. And we have talked about this a bunch, right? Leading into Scream 6. Well, when Scream 5 came out, the week that movie released, Matt and Tyler got the script for Scream 6. So the way Jamie and Guy did it, obviously, was writing the script before Scream 5 even released. Why they didn't do that seemingly this time, I don't know. Because, again, based off everything we've seen from news and from interviews with these people, is that they probably started writing around the time 6 came out. Maybe a little bit before 6, but it seems like when 6 was happening, when 6 released and it made all this money, they were still writing it. As opposed to just a year ago, when 5 came out and it was making all its money, 6 was already done. The script was already done. This time, not the case. Now, that has, I guess, come back to bite them potentially for this situation, right? Because the script is not done. So, on one side, that is a massive negative, right? Because if the script for Scream 7 is not completed, you cannot finish it. You cannot really go any further until that's done, and it won't be done until they're allowed back in the writer's room, which they literally cannot do until this strike is over, which means a deal is made, okay? So that is a huge negative with it. Now, a positive, or just not looking at it just solely negative, is, well, how much does it really matter? Well, of course, the script matters, but I guess what I mean by that is, can you do other things? Well, one thing you could do is probably you have a sense of what that script was. I'm sure they talked to somebody. They probably talked to Matt and Tyler. I'm sure if you wanted to go in some weird form of pre-production, even without the script, you probably could get away with it, at least maybe if there's some sort of mentality in Hollywood that this strike won't last forever, right? Maybe you can cut corners. Maybe you can try to get things booked, okay, like they did in Montreal, right? We're going to book this office from this time to this time. Maybe, and it's a stretch for sure, but maybe you could start to lean into doing that stuff before you have the script. Now, that's not super likely, so the other thing that I'm about to say is probably more important. The idea that it maybe is just they're going to give this movie time to breathe, and they're going to give the in-between time to breathe, I think is more and more accurate. It's weird. It's different. It's fine. I guess that's one big word to say. It's fine. I obviously would have preferred, I think a lot of us would prefer these movies are just kind of back to back, right? We're living in this age and we're doing great and everybody's together in this stuff. So yeah, I would like Scream 7 in about a year and a half. in reality, a decision could have been made months ago to say, let's let everybody go out, do their own thing, and we'll come back. Originally, I didn't really want to accept that. I'll be flat out honest with you. And I still think it's possible. Well, like Viewer Anon had talked about, the rumor, his rumor, is that the film would start filming by like October, Scream 7. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest with you, as time has continued to go on. Now, there is still time for sure. And from the time that you announced Scream 6 to the time they filmed Scream 6 was such a short window. You still could do it for Scream 7 and have the movie start to be filming in the fall, even though you haven't announced it yet. It still would work. The issue is, without a script, does that work? So I think it becomes, to me, more and more likely that Jenna is doing like 30 things. Melissa even is being in a lot of stuff, including with Radio Silence. Now, again, Radio Silence doing this film from May to July, that in no way should affect Scream 7 if it was filming in October. I've never believed it would affect it, but maybe you want them to I don't know, have a break, right? Now, I don't know if they need a break, if they don't think they need it, or if Paramount demands that they don't have a break and they just make Scream 7. That's the way that it is, but maybe they want to give Radio Silence a break. Maybe they're worried about Jenna in that, she's doing so much stuff, and I think people have done some digging in that Wednesday season 2 filming maybe September, October, and even if that goes just a few months, and the first season went a lot longer than just a few months, but even if season 2 goes, say, 4 months, goes from September to December, that's the entirety of filming. If you were to film for Scream 7 in October, that'd be the entire film. So maybe, and we've talked about this, maybe the idea of why it's taking so long to announce 7 is just getting dates, just getting everything planned out, saying, okay, we can't do it until next spring or next summer. Like, we literally cannot film it until then. So the reason I bring this up is we have talked about this before, so I don't want to just say everything that I've already said, but this writer's strike, yes, it's a problem in terms of, the progress of Scream 7, but at the same time, I think whatever was going to happen a week ago, like before the strike started, I think is still happening. Does that make sense? So if the movie was planning on filming in like October, November, I don't think that would have shifted. Obviously, without a script, that would become a pretty big problem, but we don't know how far the script is. Again, we're also then assuming the script isn't done, and maybe it is, and they just didn't announce it. That very well could have happened. They could have the script done for Scream 7, and although there's actors and stuff complaining that, well, they'd prefer that the writers are on set and they are allowed to write so that if you have questions, you can ask them. Ultimately, you don't need that. It's maybe preferred by some actors, but you don't need that. So if the script is done and we just don't know about it, full steam ahead. Film could still film in the fall. There'd really be no issue there, right? You'd have to rely on the directors to really understand the script, that's for sure, right? But if that was going to happen a week ago, that could still happen now. If the idea was to give them a break and say, we'll pick it up and we'll film a year from now, so like next March, April, May is when we're going to film. If that was the plan a week ago, that does not change, I think, because of the strike. I really don't think anything changes in that case, right? If they're not planning on filming for, say, another year, well then, even if the strike goes for months and months and they're allowed to finish the script in September, October, you still have like 3, 4, 5, 6, you still have almost half a year from when they would say would be done with the script in the fall to when the movie would start filming in, say, the spring. You'd have an enormous amount of time still to do your pre-production, get everybody, do casting, get your offices booked and whatnot. Like, you know what I mean? It would all still work. So nothing, I think, changes in that one scenario. Nothing changes, like literally at all. So it all depends to me on what the progress of that script was. That's the entirety of it for me. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.